This little guy is called the Ravage. It's from Loolinn RC. They did offer to send it to me for this video, but I gotta be honest, this little thing got me back into radio-controlled trucks. Whoa! The Ravage is a 1/18 scale truck. Dang. That means none of those shots are gonna come out. This is the Ravage from Loolinn RC. It's a 1/18 scale truck. And honestly, I wasn't expecting much, but it was so much fun that it actually got me back into radio-controlled trucks. Let's see if I can, I'm actually trying to drive both the camera truck right here and the Ravage at the same time. This is a lot of fun. This is actually working out pretty good so far, other than the fact that I smashed the other side of the lens when I bumped the throttle on accident. But other than that, it's going great. It has been a ton of fun. It's four-wheel drive. It has fully independent suspension. I wasn't expecting much, but this little thing actually has everything the big RC trucks do at a really affordable price. It was like $100, which I really just didn't think it would be that good. Now it is a brushed motor, but it is using a 2-cell lithium polymer battery, and it's decently fast. I mean, watch, I can take this little, I'm just cruising right now. We go full speed. Look at that little guy. It's fast enough that it's actually kind of hard to control sometimes. It's got lights on the front. I mean, it looks tough. The body graphics are cool. Probably the most impressive thing to me has just been how tough it's been. I've actually had it for a couple of months now. And at first, when I got this thing, I was being super careful with it. I was trying not to break it. I was trying to make sure that I didn't destroy anything before I actually filmed the video on it. And after a while, I just started to not care anymore. I started taking it off jumps. I started bashing into things. I started letting my kids play with it, do whatever they want, because I couldn't break it. Here it's been a few months of driving this thing around, and I haven't broken a single thing. It's so small and so lightweight, that's just made it incredibly durable. So I am super impressed. I mean, look at this little thing. It rips pretty good. So I was expecting, like back in the day, there used to be like radio controlled trucks from like Radio Shack and Walmart and Target. They were just not as good as the hobby grade stuff. And that's kind of what I was expecting, I guess. But I have to take that all back and just say, no, this thing is a genuine hobby grade RC. You can get parts for it, you can get upgrades for it, but better than that is the fact that I just haven't even needed them. I was also impressed by how well it does off-road. I've got a 10th scale stadium truck from years ago. Now it's only rear-wheel drive, and this thing, of course, is four-wheel drive, but it does super well. I mean, look at this thing going through the dirt. This is not a track or anything. It's just boonie crashing wherever it wants. Now I've got a couple of other 18th scale trucks that are very similar, but the tires, wow, it just got ran over and it didn't even care. That's the other thing is I have driven it, bashed it, whatever, with a bunch of kids driving anything from 18th scale trucks to 8th scale trucks, and even crashing those together, we still haven't managed to break it. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to destroy. I'm sure you can if you hit it just right, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. All right, let's pull the body off so you can see what's inside. It's dirty, it's dusty. So we've got the brushed motor. It's got a small heat sink on it. Got a receiver, and then we have our little 2-cell lithium battery. It's a 1000 milliamp hour 2S with a little Dean's connector on there. Just Velcros right in place. It's got these 2 wires coming up to the front for those LED lights. Totally unnecessary, but it does look cool, so I like it. It is actually helpful, I guess, if you drive when it starts to get dark or anything. You can still see if it's coming and going. I've got a couple of other 18th scale trucks, and the tires are slightly bigger than the others. So if you're gonna use this for more off-road bashing, not on a smooth track, I do find that this one handles a little bit better just because of the tire size. Our steering servo is right in here, and let's give that a, you can see, steers pretty quick. It's pretty responsive. Put it on the ground. Doesn't have any trouble steering those front wheels. I think just because this thing is so lightweight overall. And I thought maybe, you know, with four-wheel drive, something would break there, but that has been just solid. So we've got our motor here. There's gonna be a gear tucked inside this. I've never bothered to open that because it's never broken. And then you can see kind of through the holes there, there's the shaft that runs all the way between the front and back wheels. Here's what it looks like from the bottom of the chassis. Nothing really exposed anywhere, which is nice. There's kind of a hole right there where some of the steering linkage goes, but I've never managed to hit that on anything, or at least if I have hit it, it hasn't caused any damage. I mean, I really just have minor scrapes and scratches on this thing and dirt. Here's what the suspension looks like if you drop it. Pretty good. Maybe a little bit bouncy. So I guess if you want this thing to race around a track and handle a little better, you could probably put some different shocks on there, or maybe adjust to a little bit thicker oil. I don't know if that'd really help or not. Probably the only thing I wish they would offer with this is a second battery, because it's so much fun. It is a bummer that you gotta wait to charge it up again. If you got two batteries, that's always best. So you can have one charging while you're driving. Of course, you can always buy a second battery. That's not really a huge problem. It's kind of interesting that the charger that it comes with, and that is a huge plus that it comes with a charger. If you get into more expensive hobby grade RCs, usually you gotta have your own charger or buy one separately. So this comes with one. It's real basic. It just plugs into a USB port, which sounds kind of silly, but it works perfectly fine. It charges through the balance lead. So I assume it's actually balancing the cells as it's charging, which is also another plus. I did see somebody complain once about the way the wheels are mounted on here because it has a Phillips head in the center. I mean, it does have a hex around the edge, and it is a machine thread screw, or bolt I should say, that holds this wheel on. So it's different than having like an axle that comes out that's threaded with a nut. It is the bolt that goes in. I don't know if that's common on other RC setups. I haven't had any issues with it. I pulled one off just to look at it, and I put it back on, and in months of driving, none of my four wheels have ever come off, come loose, or had a problem. The transmitter is 2.4 gigahertz. I haven't had any issues with it either. Some of the cheaper 18 scale trucks I've seen, the wheel for your steering on the transmitter is just plastic. This one actually has a nice foam cover, so it just feels a little bit nicer, a little higher class. You've got steering and throttle trim, steering reverse, on-off button. It only takes 2 AA batteries, which is actually kind of nice. I remember those old transmitters that had like 8 or 10, and it was just ridiculous. There is an auxiliary button right here. I'm assuming that does nothing because I just pushed it and nothing happened. And it just uses standard little body clips. The ones they send have these little tabs on it to make it easy to pull them out, which I appreciate. So yeah, there it is, the Ravage from Loolinn RC. I really have zero complaints. Everything has worked perfectly. I have not been able to break it even after basically trying to for 2 to 3 months now. Probably the only thing I wish was different from the company Loolinn is that they made a bigger one. Because when I said this got me back into radio controlled trucks, I wasn't kidding. I had so much fun with this little thing that I went ahead and got the associated rival MT10. Now this was of course much more expensive. It is insanely fast, but if they could make something of this sort of caliber, price quality, also durability in this size, I would definitely consider buying it. I'll put a link in the description to where you can get one of these on Amazon.